My name is Barbara Santon and I'm the host. And today we have with us the lovely, the amazing Alison A. Armstrong.
Thanks. I'm really glad to be here again.
Yes, amazing. So for those of you, I think it's completely impossible if you don't know Alison, but for those of you who need a refresher, I'm going to read her bio for you, and then we're going to dive in and just go for it with questions. So Alison Armstrong's exploration of human behavior began in 1991 with her decision to study men. Quote, to find out how I was bringing out the worst in them and hopefully how to bring out the best. Her success in understanding men naturally led to studying women's behavior and making vital connections between the two. As her work evolved over decades, Alison now illuminates human characteristics that precede and express themselves regardless of gender, age, and upbringing. She distinguishes normal human instincts that compel both men and women to behave in ways that contradict and undermine our own purposes, goals, values, needs, and relationships. Besides fulfilling the need to understand why people behave as they do, Alison offers practical partnership-based alternatives. Through her seminars, books, online programs, and media contributions, she has been giving millions of people access to more fulfilling lives, loving relationships, stronger families, and productive organizations. Welcome, Alison. What a treat.
Thank you. And I think it's awesome that you said disguise instead of distinguished, because human instincts definitely disguise themselves. Definitely. Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
So I thought that was well placed.
It was a Freudian slip because we often hide behind our our facade of who we think we should be, and what's really underneath it is just like our old patterns and old beliefs that are just like making us stuck in these areas of relationships and relationships, in every area, but of course I'm talking about romantic relationships. So can you speak into that a little bit? Like, what is, one of the more common blind spots that you, over your decades of research, have uncovered around what women are doing that is actually blocking themselves from creating that really deep relationship with someone that they really are longing for?
Oh boy. So we're definitely in the area of instinct. And one of the things that we do that prevents us from progressing the way that we want to is that we're looking for a personal why. Like, why do I do that? Oh, it must be because I'm a Libra, or because I'm a middle child, or because I got married young and then divorced, or because I was a single mom, or because, right? My mother broke up when I was 9 and I must have felt abandoned. And, so we look for personal eyes because of my past, because of my personality. And most of the whys they're not personal. They're not I reasons. They're the way that I see it is most of them are human behavior, like every human being. And in fact, everything on the planet, I assert, operates in a hierarchy of instinct that goes procreate, then protect, then provide. And I'll come back to that, okay? That part's important.
Okay.
And then after everybody, regardless of age, gender, education, ethnicity, etc., after procreate, then provide, then procreate, then protect, then provide, then you're going to have more instincts of a fight, flight, or freeze reaction. And then you're going to get into male and female. And what a testosterone-soaked brain formats itself into versus an estrogen-soaked brain. And then after male and female, then you're even getting to mental states. So is it a male in a committed mental state, or a female in a committed mental state, or a male or a female in an open state of mind? That's going to, those differences between committed and open determine what we perceive, how we process what we perceive, how we relate to what we perceive. Like, for example, feelings. In a committed state of mind, feelings are mostly irrelevant.
Yes.
And they're even screened out as irrelevant. We don't even, this is how, like, in the movies, a man will get stabbed and won't realize until hours later he was stabbed. How can that happen? Single focus does that.
Right.
The pain is irrelevant to survival in this moment. So it's, the brain actually dims the pain, right? And then, but how about a male in an open state of mind? And what allows a man to be in an open state of mind? What about a woman in an open state of mind? How can she get switched into a focused state of mind, into a committed, productive state of mind like that without her even wanting to? So all of these things happen before Alison.
Right.
Before I. Why do I do this? All these things. I think I makes up, well, I would generously say only about 2% of why we do things. It might be 2%. I think it's actually less. And yes, and one of the ways to tell when you're actually being compelled by instinct is when you feel tension. And so if people just start noticing how many hours of the day they're tense, they're not relaxed, they're not at peace, there's some, I gotta get at this, I gotta get away from this, I gotta pretend everything's fine. Instinct is at play, and we're in either fight, flight, or freeze. And the biggest, if you wanted to call it a pattern, because it definitely starts at instinct and is completely reinforced by our culture, and then double down with personal experience, and that is that most women and most men would like to have the opposite sex, especially in a romantic context, to be in a state of providing, in a state of wanting to give. That's how we most want to find each other. But because of having opposing instincts, women do things that are normal and natural for us. We do things that cause men to retreat from providing into protecting. And especially we cause them to go into protecting themselves from us. A man cannot provide for us when he's protecting himself from us. And women, the same thing happens. Men want women to be overflowing in love and care and sensuality and sexuality and food. Right. Overflowing in providing, giving. And then they raise their voice. And they don't know that when they raise their voice, to a woman's instinct, you raise your voice, you're going to raise your hand. Like boom, boom. We connect them, right? So we go from wanting to take care of them, wanting to rub their back, wanting to be intimate with them, to a total clutch freeze. This person's dangerous. And then we either go into fight, flight, or freeze, right? And all kinds of problems happen because of that, especially when a woman goes into freeze, right? If she can fight, yay. If she can flee, yay. If she goes in freeze, unfortunately, men interpret that as approval. They don't recognize freeze as a no. So if a man does something, approaches a woman, makes an overture towards a woman, and she's frightened and she freezes, he thinks that means it's okay. No. Any woman would know that woman is screaming no. But testosterone actually causes the brain to not perceive and interpret it that way, even amongst really good men, which most men are really good men. So they actually have to be taught this, which is kind of wild. So that would be like my beginning foundation for whatever conversations, what things you want to ask me, because as I was thinking about this, right? Like what makes someone a love magnet? Well, a man can't express love, be present to love, give love if he's protecting himself. And a woman can't either. And so the things that we do that cause each other to think, I'm not safe here, my emotions aren't safe, my thoughts aren't safe, my feelings aren't safe, my future isn't safe, all the things that men and women do to each other all the time. And these are not personal. All of the ways that we react with frustration, for example, to the opposite sex will cause the other person to feel not safe. So one of the paradoxes, again, I was thinking about a love magnet, is that we as women, and I teach the same thing to men, we need to sort out the being safe ahead of time. And what ways of being and what kinds of behavior have me be safe, feel safe physically, experiencing being safe emotionally, have me feel safe to be intimate, have me feel safe to express what I really think, and even what is the future that I want in relationship that I need it to be safe, that who you are and how you are isn't going to prevent me from having it, right? So articulating those things, this is one of the things that I focus on in something called Smart Singles. And articulating those things is the first step, right? I say clarity is king, clarity is also queen, clarity is key. But once we have the clarity about it, and I'll give you an example in a moment, once we have the clarity about it, then the next step, which is very interesting, is we have to develop the muscle of consistently protecting all of that ourselves. And by being loyal to it again and again and again and again, in every situation, we protect that thing that we said we need. And because there's this thing amongst, I learned it from horsemanship, but it's true for humans and at least dogs, and that is what you let someone do, you teach them to do. So if you let them raise their voice, you teach them to raise their voice. Instead of each and every time someone raises your voice, you say, I won't be around you if you do that. I require that you actually never do that. And if you do by accident, that you stop and apologize. Are you willing to provide that for me? Why would I what? What are you talking about? Okay, bye.
Right. Right.
Right. So the loyalty to what we have said we need, and once it's this awesome paradox, and I've been testing this out, by the way, since I became single a couple of years ago when
right.
Greg passed, right? So once we have proven that we will defend our own boundaries, no matter how cute he is, no matter how smart he is, no matter how rich he is, no matter how everything he is, that we're loyal to our boundaries first. Once we have done that, this crazy thing happens, Barbara. We don't have to be on guard anymore.
Right.
And that is the thing that has us be a love magnet. That we don't have a shield up. We're just open. We're letting the love go out. We're letting the love come in because we know if we have to, instantaneously, no, that's not all right. And that we've proven to ourselves that we won't betray ourselves. And mostly the shame that both men and women have, which we do a lot of work on shame in our Extreme Freedom course. The shame that men and women have is from having betrayed themselves. And knowing they aren't their own best friend, they're not their own partner. They didn't commit to themselves first, and that they will sell out a future that they're dreaming of because this man, well, at least he keeps me company.
Right.
Right? It's better than being lonely, which is fine. But all those things we have clarity about, what I say to my folks is enjoy being in the moment, be in love, be in lust, have a wonderful time, but don't commit with your emotions. Commit with your wisdom about yourself. Does this person consistently give you what you need to be who you want to be, instead of in fight, flight, or freeze? Because that's ugly.
Yeah. Wow. That is so powerful. That is like, there's so much there. I have so many questions about that. So it's actually kind of a relief then, first of all, that it is not something, it's not an I-ism, or it's not about me. It's not about what I did wrong or how broken I am or how traumatized I am. It's just instinct that we get to learn about.
Yeah. That's, I'm a healer. I mostly heal with ideas like that one. Believes a whole lot of junk. And we have something called there's all these different things. Something I call injury mechanics, and how human beings actually get wounded, and then it causes their future behavior. Well, once you know the mechanics of it, you can reverse the process and actually have the wound go away. And that's one of the things that really has distinguished my life, including Greg passing, that I don't think human beings can be damaged. I don't believe it. I think we can heal from anything and everything. And I mean, the downside is wounds have a lot of benefits. There are a lot of people who use their wounds as boundaries. Like they don't have a real boundary. So they say, you can't talk to me like that after what happened to me in my marriage, right? You can't treat me like that. Well, I need this because my parents did that, right? Like we use them as justifications for what we want people to do and not do, instead of, no, I just require this.
Right.
You be part of my life. I require that you behave like this. Your choice.
Yeah, I love that, because your perspective is really holding humans high. Like, we're not victims. We can heal ourselves. We've got this, right? Instead of always digging in and trying to find a reason to be a victim. I really love that perspective. And this then creates responsibility. We get to be responsible for what it is we want and what it is that our boundaries are. And I think many women think they don't know what it is they want. How can they get in touch with where their boundaries are? Where's their level of okayness with this and this? Like, is there a way to gauge that within oneself?
Yes. Short version. And I go about this in so many different ways, right? So often understanding that what we need, and how I define a need is there's a big benefit to getting it and a big cost to not. Big benefit, like in who you can be as a human being. And so one of the things that women do, right, which is why we stopped having a prerequisite for our Understanding Women course, is we think there's something wrong with us personally for needing that, and therefore we're not going to make sure we get it. We're trying to get over it because we think we're wrong for needing it. Men do this as well, by the way. Men have had it hammered into them that their sexuality is problematic to pathological, right? They're taught that they're bad, that their need for sex is bad, and so they don't protect their need for sex. And sex gives them the fuel, literally gives them the fuel to protect and provide for others. Yeah, it's incredible what it provides for them, but we don't know that, because to them what it provides is obvious, so they don't waste any energy explaining the obvious. That's one of their sayings, because they're always saving energy. There's no point in stating the obvious.
Right.
Well, except it's only obvious to you, dear, and half of the population doesn't know it. And I spend a lot of time teaching women what sex provides for them, right? So, but there's also like things about women, like we're accused of being scattered, distracted, disorganized, that we make too big of a deal out of our feelings. We're thrown around by our emotions. Like there's all kinds of things that we're accused of that we treat like I'm personally broken, but they actually are tied to human instincts times estrogen times are you in a committed or open state of mind. And that's what understanding women is all about, to understand why you do what you do when you do it. And therefore, when I'm in a committed state of mind, this is how to support me. This is how to help me feel safe. This is how to make sure I get enough sex. This is how to have me feel appreciated, right? And when I'm in an open state of mind, there's a whole different set of things that I need. And yes, I really am two different people, and you need to figure out both of me. This is why men love, of course. And these are the signs. This is how you can tell if I'm a committed state of mind, and this is how you can tell if I'm in an open state of mind. This is how you can tell if you've disrespected me and I'm pissed off at you. And this is how you can tell that you've hurt my feelings and I'm about to be taken over by a 30-foot dragon who's going to burn you alive.
That is real.
It's
that
real.
Is very real.
It's real. And when we can go, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I have ovaries, I have soft skin, sparkly eyes, and a hoo-hoo. If you want one of me, you need to deal with these two people. and men are really empowered by this. Women are really empowered by this. We can be figured out, and we can, like in my relationship from the very beginning, which is almost a year ago, I said, I am an extraordinary woman, which means that I am a human girl who consistently makes courageous choices. And, and I texted this to Dan. And
I love it.
Yes. And ever since then, I've been able, when I'm having a fear, insecurity, jealousy, panic, right? I get to say, I'm having a human girl moment. And he'll say, what do you mean? And I'll be like, yeah, hold me, tell me this, illuminate this for me, verify that what I'm perceiving is true or not, clarify this comment that you made that I spun out over. And then I tell him, and then lo and behold, he gives it to me. Which is
what a concept, right?
I know, what a concept. And this is important. This is really important. It's one of the things I love about Dan. He passed this test, and I recommend you give every man this test, because otherwise it's hopeless. Okay. Right. But you have to be consistent, right? So the first time I said he hurt my feelings and I needed him to say, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings. He believed me and he tried it. And it worked. Men are amazing at doing what works.
Yes.
So if you tell them something will work and they do it and it works, they'll do it again. And if it works, do it again. If it works, do it again. If it works, right? And then they'll do it because it works. If we tell them, I need you to do this, and they do it and it has no effect, well, it didn't work. And you said it would work. So therefore you're not to be believed. And this is something you have to find out is, are you going to believe me? And I have to pay attention. We talk about this in our Understanding Men course. How does a woman become believable? Because we mostly don't honor our own needs. And so what we say we need isn't believable because our actions aren't consistent with it. We say, I'm tired, and we don't go to bed. That's mystifying to men. You said you're tired. Why are you still standing? right? They don't say, which we teach them why, what our environments call us to do. That's why we're still standing, which is why we need them to take us by the hand and bring us
Put us into bed.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to stand here while you brush your teeth. Okay, now I'm going to tuck you in. I'm turning out the lights. We need that. And it's not ridiculous.
No.
So yeah, we have to be believable to ourselves and we have to be believable to them. And can I give you another example?
Yes, I'm riveted. Yes, please.
Okay, so this is the example I was thinking of when I first said I'd give you an example and then I give you other examples. Okay. So on my list of the things, literally the test for each and every one of them is, what it says is the right person to be my playmate in life? Because that's what I decided I wanted. It took a while, like a year after Greg died. Okay. Right. Because before that, I didn't want to ever be in a relationship again. They're too much work.
Right. And even for you.
Yes. Yeah. So this is really a description of a person that's worth all the work. Right.
Right.
They're worth it. And then it also says each one is a standalone deal breaker. I would rather be alone than be with someone who isn't each and every one of these things. Each and every one, stand alone, could be the other 41 items, but if they aren't that, no, you're out at 42 items. I have 19 ways of being and 23 behaviors. And so, because we need people to be a certain way, that they generate that way, right? So one of the things that it says under behavior is sex is a process of clarification. Yeah, sex is a process of clarification. So if someone won't give me feedback, so is this working? Did you like it? What did you like about it? And they're like, oh, you're fine. Keep going.
Right.
No, we're going to verify it and clarify what about that worked and what about it didn't. If a man is going to be not open to, I need you to go a little to the left, or pressure's better than
speed.
That other thing. Exactly. Like this works, not that. This works, not that. If they're like, I already know. What do you think? I'm not experienced. I know what I'm doing. Right? If I am not a source of believable information about my own body and what works for me in bed, and you're not willing to be a source of information about your own body and what works for you, then we won't be verifying and clarifying anything. And sex is never going to get any better. And it's probably going to get worse because we're both going to lose confidence and daring and bravery. And it's going to get really, really boring. And same old, right? But that's something you have to be believable. Like if they're not going to participate, okay, then I'm not going to take my clothes off. What do you mean? If you won't talk to me about sex, I'm not taking my clothes off. Well, how do you find that out? Before you ever meet them, see if they'll talk to you about sex on the phone. And not just like dollies, like clarification, right? We're going to take turns telling the truth. I send everybody to missjaya.com so they can be better at telling the truth about themselves. Right. And so erotic blueprints, brilliant way to understand and validate yourself instead of thinking you're wrong because you like something and don't like something else.
Right.
So all of these things that you put down, right? Like on my list is, we don't need each other's money. Now, that was not on my list when I was a single mom at 31 years old, right?
Right.
No, there was financially responsible, wants to have children, loves my son, right? At a completely different list. And our lists change as we change.
Yeah.
Another thing on my list, used to be wants to get married, right? Greg fit that list. Now it says not attached to getting married or living together full time. Because I don't want to do either one of those.
Good for you. And it speaks so much into the variety of what the audience too, right? There are women watching, and mostly women, there are some men, who are in all those stages. So you are so validating wherever you are. That's where you are. Don't try to be something you're not, or in a place where you're not. I get so many women who say, I don't care about marriage. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And it's like, okay, you don't, because you keep saying how much you don't care. Like, just, if you don't care, great. But if you do, then declare it.
Yes.
Have the list of 47 things, or whatever number you have, right? Like, have the list and hold yourself to it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And look for the evidence of it, and keep track of the ones that you don't have evidence yet, because that circumstance hasn't happened. And I've used it to keep making myself honest with myself, because when I met Dan last October, it hit hard. Meeting him in person felt like a reunion. That kind of feeling, like, just, oh my gosh, right? And I knew, oh geez, we're in trouble. Oh boy, I could really be in trouble. Where's my list? Right? And keep
my
list and checking my list. And I recently did a program that people can get, and very easily, called Own Your Ultimatums. And it talks about where ultimatums come from, and why we present them at the worst possible time, why we hate receiving ultimatums when we do, and why we're compelled to do that, and then what would work better, which basically figure out what you will break up with them over. Figure that out ahead of time, that you will in fact break up with them over that, because you can only put up with it for a certain amount of time. And then tell them that when you don't care how they react. Tell them that before you care their reaction. Or, as in the first half hour of talking to Dan, I was saying things about myself that were from my list, and thinking in my head, if you're gonna run now.
Wow, that is hilarious.
Yes. And before we ever met in person, he knew the first 19 B list items, ways you have to be and generate being and have to be accountable for being. He already knew those before we met in person. And then after we did meet in person and were, oh my goodness, then I went over the other 23 items with him and kept bringing them up. And it was, gosh, it seems really soon ago. It was like 3 weeks ago that he got out the clipboard with the list on it and took it and notes on all of them, including, all but 6 of them that he had several check marks next to, because in my vernacular, he was dicking it, which, dicks produce results, right?
Right.
So all but 6, right? He had various level of check marks about, which I said, but you have to keep being this. I will break up with you if you don't keep being this.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he's making notes about that. And then there's 2 of them that are in process that have to stay in process. And then there's 4 that it's like, no, we're going to break up over these. And
so good.
Yes. And by the time we were done, he formally agreed to all of them. And that's why day after tomorrow, I'm moving to his town, to his property, to his backyard.
What?
But I'm not living with him.
You're moving into his backyard.
I'm moving into his backyard. He has they call it the cottage. He has a guest house, and it's going to be my little house. And I think my horse's paddock is going to be bigger than my house.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, the whole crew. My dog already moved there. He likes it.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, and it's completely me practicing what I preach. And it takes courage, and it takes honoring yourself the first, and the better my boundaries got, the more I could let him love me. And the more I could let myself be in love with him.
Yes.
And it started with him taking me seriously. But that started with me taking me seriously.
Yes.
You know, like one of the things on my list, and I encounter this a lot, Barbara, I don't know about you. And I've encountered it with men and women, that they don't want to reveal, they have different words for it. The woo-woo side, the spiritual side, what they think it makes them freaky, like what they're intuitive about, or like that's the thing that when you're really, 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 really safe, then I'll let you know about it.
Right.
And that's actually what I led with in that first, maybe even 15 minutes talking to Dan. It was like, well, yeah, I've been a widow for almost a year and a half, and my husband is a active participant in my life, and he probably picked you.
That's what you led with.
Yep.
Talk about testing. Talk about testing, right? We always test each other. Yes. That's a big one.
But you should test yourself and them from the very beginning. So how do you relate to what I need? How do you relate to what I need? Do you care about what I need? If they don't care about what you need, they're probably just sexually attracted, because that actually blocks caring about what you need. Yeah. And yeah, so I just kept doing that one after another, after another, after another. And his reaction to that was, oh yeah, I can feel him. It's nice.
This is so amazing. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And this, I just want to address that this is not just because you're Alison Armstrong.
Like I'm such a human girl. I'm such a human girl. And yeah, and he's a man. He's a man. But one of the things, Barbara, I got to tell him the other day, that because of our fear of men, which is misplaced, I mean, there's good historical reason for it and instinctual reasons for it, but we so don't understand them and misinterpret them, that they do things for the reasons a woman would. We try to dominate men. We want to overcome them and dominate them. And we are attracted to strong men, but we want to dominate them to make ourselves feel safe. But if we can dominate them, then they don't appear strong anymore, and then we're not attracted to them anymore. Right. And I can dominate you, then I'm stronger than you, which means I'm going to save you from the tiger instead of vice versa. So we get in this whole chase our tail kind of thing. And, it's been 30 years since I gave up emasculating men. I gave up justifying dominating them, justifying taking the wind out of themselves, justifying diminishing them or disempowering them. And it's one of the things I keep looking for, right? I look for the strength in every man, and then see if you can see the strength in them where they're strong and you're not. And see if you can see that and watch if you're afraid of that. Or can you go to the next question? How is this man strong in a way that complements my strengths? And Dan is very different from me. But it's been awesome to keep seeing in the other qualities that make us good partners. I really love that about you. He thinks so differently than I do. And we end up with the same values and solving problems in different ways, but we come to, like, one of us will come up with a solution that the other thinks was awesome. Oh, I'm so glad you thought of that. That's even better than what I was thinking. Right. So can we, I said it a long, long time ago, because I experienced it with Greg, what it's like to be cherished and loved and admired by someone that you admire.
Yeah.
That's what makes it priceless, that you admire this person, right? And you're loved by someone you admire. And that's what men are looking for. Men are looking for a woman that they admire, who accepts them how they are, who sees their strength, who thinks their life would be better off with them in it.
Wow. Okay. So our audience is going to want more for sure. So can you please tell us how they can find you? I mean, they can just Google you, I'm sure. And I know that is there a little, how can they find you? How can they find you?
If you go to AlisonArmstrong.com, or if that's too hard to remember, but you can even misspell it, understandmen.com will get you the same place. Right there on the homepage is Own Your Ultimatums. Right there on the homepage is Lux, which is our co-ed combination video and live course that's happening now. People can begin, and then the live interaction starting in October. And there's always the Queen's Code book if someone wants fiction, and after the beginning of the year it'll finally be on audio, but we're gonna publish.
Are you recording it?
I'm 80% done. I'm finishing it on Saturday.
Everyone has to get this book. If you at all feel like you are a woman, or if you identify as a woman, you must read or listen to this book.
Well, please don't listen to it until I publish my voice reading it, because Alexa did a terrible job. Yes, the inflection is not there and the meaning does not come across. We're gonna publish it on our own app after the first of the year. But even men, the Queen's Code is gaining a lot of traction amongst men because the way that Will Spencer put it from the Renaissance of Men is it was the first time he encountered a woman who admired men, illuminating what it means to be a man. And I love the Queen's Code. Another good reason to get rid of the pink cover. So
nice. Okay, with the big heart. I think it has a big heart or something, right? Or at least it's pink. I forget now.
It's so pink. It's so pink. Right? It's so pink. It will still change your life, no matter how pink it is.
It definitely will. I can attest to that 100%. Alison, it has been such a treat. You are hilarious, wise, beautiful, gorgeous. It is just such a treat to be in your presence. And I could listen to you for hours on end, but I won't keep you. I'm so grateful for you to be here and for your generosity of your time. And so thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for letting me express myself. It's
anytime.
My privilege. Yeah. Be well.
You too. And thank you, audience, for watching this incredible interview. There are many more to come, and I can't wait to see you there. Bye for now.